What is up, everybody, on this glorious October 15th, 2025. Welcome to Front Runner Podcast Collective, where we talk like friends, argue like cousins, and somehow still leave smarter. I am your humble host, Vince, and occasional therapist, and sometimes your favorite bad influence, where we unpack the wins, the mess, and the middle, grounded in jokes, receipts, and maybe a hot take or two that ages badly. With me is Soraya, our silent producer who refuses to stay silent. She will be dropping notes in the chat all day long. We'll have the occasional gym to keep everybody honest, and maybe make us just better people in the process. So let's get this thing going. We are going to be talking about the Pacific Division. This is obviously the division that the Lakers is in. You're going to hear about Sacramento, Phoenix, the Clippers, and the Golden State Warriors. Nobody will be left out, but this is where we're going to start. By the way, programming note, we will have two pods today. There will be a part 1 and a part 2. The part 2 is going to have the Central Division. And you're saying to me, Vince, why are there two parts to this podcast? That is a cornucopia of information that I must download. Well, the season starts in less than a week, and what we're trying to do is get you to a point where you have a good base of what these teams are going to look like early on in the season. The second thing is that we want to be ready. We're trying to clear the decks next Tuesday. It is Prediction Podcast Tuesday. Why is that important? If you want to know where we think your team is going to be, you need to join us then. It is going to be a spectacle of all spectacles. We will have your MVP for this year. Who's going to be the sixth man of the year? Who's going to be the rookie of the year? Who's going to be the defensive player of the year? Hint, hint. He plays in Texas. But Prediction Podcast Tuesday coming to you next Tuesday. Mark your calendars. It will drop early. It will drop early enough for you to consume the product, and then games will start, and we will be off and running and getting ourselves just immersed in the NBA world, and we'll be just better for it. Without further ado, we need to start this podcast. So we're going to start with the Sacramento Kings. Is there a more sad franchise than the Sacramento Kings over the last couple years, given the feel-good process that was going on about 3 years ago? We had the whole light the beam era. That did not last long, right? There was so much promise. You had gotten Keegan Murray, who we'll talk about soon. You had your star, our guy De'Aaron Fox, who is now in San Antonio. And now you become Chicago Bulls West, which is kind of scary to me. And we'll get into the particulars of that momentarily. What we need to start off with is that Keegan Murray suffered a left thumb UCL tear that needed surgery. He is going to be reevaluated in 4 to 6 weeks. Reevaluated, meaning not going to play. So we might not see Keegan Murray until late December, maybe January. Tough break for our guy, because we had built basically this segment around him and how this year was the year we find a lot out about Keegan Murray and what his role will be with this team going forward. Now we must pivot to Chicago Bulls West. And what I mean by that is that we have reunited Zach LaVine and DeMar DeRozan together, and they'll be playing off Domantas Sabonis, who'll be in that nail position, just dropping dimes to people, then bullying people to the rim. But this team, after a couple years of going to the playoffs and, making some postseason situations, has kind of fallen back into. Now, Doug Christie, who basically took over for Mike Brown last year, he is now the full-time head coach. Doug Christie has played a ton of years in this league, tremendous with this fan base, because he reminds them of the glory years of like 2000, 2001, and 2002 with the Sacramento Kings. You say, well, Vince, is the cupboard bare? No, not necessarily. The cupboard is not bare. But the problem is that your talent, or your high-end talent, is not as good as some of the high-end talent that's in this division or in this conference. Keep in mind, the Western Conference is going to be an absolute bloodbath this year. There's going to be a lot of teams who think they're going to the playoffs, and they're not. Now, you have some of the usual suspects with the Sacramento Kings. You have another year of Malik Monk. You have another year of Keon Ellis. You also got Dario Saric. Now, Dario Saric doesn't provide a lot when it comes to production as far as concerned, but he's a steady hand. He's a steady vet. He'll be in the right places. I don't know if he'll score a lot for you, and I don't know if he offers a lot on defense for you, but he'll get some cardio in. With that being said, you also have drafted Neek, Clifford, one of the guys that I absolutely loved out of this draft, not because of the fact that I think he's going to be box office, but I think he's a steady player. But the problem with the Sacramento Kings is that they have a bunch of steady players. The roster is filled with steady players. Where's the star? One guy is in Indiana. And you say, well, Vince, why are you bringing up old stuff? Well, it's kind of where the problem started. And I know we need to get off of it, but Domantas Sabonis does not raise your ceiling. He is an incredible player in the sense of production-wise. He's going to get you 18 points. He's going to get you 12 to 13 rebounds. Sometimes he's going to have a game where he scores 25 points and get you 18 rebounds. There are going to be great games with him. The problem is that he's 6'8.5", playing center. That's the first thing. The second thing, he doesn't offer rim protection whatsoever. So your interior defense is an absolute sieve. It's a turnstile. It's just spectacular dunk after spectacular dunk, or easy layups at the rim. And then you don't have the foot speed and or the tenacity at the point of attack as far as the defenders are concerned to stop anybody from getting into the lane. You might have had that with the other guy who was kind of your star, which is De'Aaron Fox. He asked for a trade as soon as you let Mike Brown go. He's like, listen, I do not want to be known as the coach killer, so I am electing to be traded now. He goes to San Antonio. Now you sit there and think to yourself, well, did Sacramento get a bounty of picks back for De'Aaron Fox? That answer would be no. Did they get a pick, their own pick back to kind of control their draft situation? Yeah, they did. But did it help them? No, it didn't. So the Sacramento Kings are now in a situation where they're in the toughest conference out of the two. They don't have a star. Doug Christie is now playing with the hand that he's dealt, where Domantas Sabonis is probably going to be your de facto star, which is not great. And you can sit here and say, well, what about LaVine? What about Zach LaVine? Vince, you are a UCLA guy. You love UCLA. Zach LaVine is from UCLA. Chicago couldn't wait to get this dude out of town. Remember a couple years ago, there was a point where Zach LaVine was going to get traded to the Detroit Pistons. He elected for like season-ending foot surgery. And the vibes in Chicago, became immaculate as soon as this dude elected for surgery. They started to play with a passion. They started to play with an edge. There was more joy going on in Chicago. And now Zach LaVine brings his morose through the capital city of California. Now, you saw it on full display last year. He is going to shoot jumpers. He's going to give you some incredible games. He is going to worry about his stats for sure. He is not going to make his other teammates better at all. He's super athletic, but doesn't really play a lot of defense, which is kind of crazy. I wish everybody well who has season tickets to the Sacramento Kings watching Zach LaVine. Now, his running mate, DeMar DeRozan, I like DeMar DeRozan, even though he is a USC guy. I don't have a bad word to say about DeMar DeRozan. And by the way, if you knew about DeMar DeRozan, you wouldn't have a bad word to say about him either. But I do like his game. He is additive. He does help out your other players that aren't stars. He's kind of an underrated playmaker for your team. But remember, Domantas Sabonis plays that role more often than not. It's a collective of somewhat talented dudes. If they were in proper roles with other teams, they'd probably be a lot better off. But they thought a lot of themselves, and they thought a lot of their talents, that they've not put themselves in those positions. Like Zach LaVine for sure is basically like a third guy on a good team, and he needs to have like strong leadership ahead of him. DeMar DeRozan is more of a fourth or fifth guy in a rotation. Domantas Sabonis is probably like a third guy normally, probably playing out of position at the 5 spot. He should be playing at the 4 spot. And you got like a huge pterodactyl big with a huge wingspan. And then Domantas Sabonis is like your gritty power forward who's going to do a lot of your dirty work and things of that nature. So this is what Sacramento has to look forward to in this season. I hope I give you a bunch of positive things to look forward to. I know it doesn't sound like it, but we're going to get there. There are some positives. I'm not going to leave you Sacramento just empty-handed. I'm not going to do it because we are a positive podcast. Malik Monk is a guy who will always be the type of guy who can be the 6th man of the year every single year. His production, which is a 6'1" diminutive point guard, that actually he's more of a shooting guard than he is a point guard. He's going to be able to score. He's going to have the spectacular dunk from time to time. And he is going to be productive, especially in a chaotic type situation. He makes the right cut at the right time. He shoots the 3 ball pretty effectively. He's around 39% on decent volume as far as that's concerned, so I love that. He's kind of a luxury item for like a poor person. I know that sounds crazy, and it probably sounds really, really bad, but think about it. If you are like living in an area that's not at the greatest area on the face of the planet, and you own like a brand new Lexus, you know what you're doing. It's a luxury item you don't need. You probably need a Honda, right? You probably could go with like a Nissan or something. You don't need the Lexus if you're living like in a more impoverished area. Just saying. So what to look forward to with the Sacramento Kings? Well, there's 2 things. You didn't get to see Devin Carter a lot last year, and now you do get to see him, and I hope that kid can show out because he was really good in college. He had some great March Madness situations, and he was killing the Big East when he was in college. I did make mention of Neek Clifford. The reason why I like Neek Clifford is because of the fact that he's like 6'6". He's 235 pounds. He's kind of a bowling ball type of guy, but he is solid. This dude can play defense. He'll give you a little offense. He has a little connectivity. He can kind of fulfill the role that Kevin Huerter, basically what you imagine Kevin Huerter to be. He can kind of fill that role. Maybe not the shooter that Kevin Huerter was, but he will give you more on the defensive side than Kevin Huerter would have. So it's kind of like a give and take. I think he's one of those guys that when you start to build up the higher end talent, this is one of the connective pieces you want to keep on your team. How will the offense be different this year than last year? Well, Sacramento fans, this is where we kind of get into a little the doom and gloom. It's probably not going to look a lot different than last year. You're going to have a lot of DHOs from Sabonis. You're going to have a lot of ISO with Zach LaVine. And DeMar DeRozan is still the king of the mid-range. Those are your three leading scorers. Those are what they do best. And that is probably what you're going to see a lot of. The whole problem is that we were supposed to see Keegan Murray play a lot and see what his overall development was, and if this was some of a kind of a piece that was going to be around and be sustainable for whatever the next iteration of the Sacramento Kings was going to be. Unfortunately, we're probably not going to see it until 2026. Now, it'll be early 2026. I'm not saying the whole year. It'll be early 2026, but he's coming off a thumb injury. Now, it's not his shooting hand, but it's his guide hand on the ball when he's shooting. So I wonder how that affects him. Does it take any time for him to come back? Because it doesn't have anything to do with the lower limbs. So I think you can go ahead and still get your cardio and what have you. He's still young enough where this shouldn't affect him too much. He should be able to bounce back from this pretty quickly. But these early games are really informative of what we wanted to see out of Keegan Murray. And then as you get into January, your team starts to coalesce into what they are. And then trying to wedge a piece back in to what you collectively have going on is kind of hard. So he's going to have to pick and choose and find his way throughout the second part of the season. So we probably won't get all the data we need on Keegan Murray this year, which sucks because that was the thing that Sacramento had to look forward to. Can you look at Devin Carter and can you look at Neek Clifford as developmental pieces for whatever is going to go on? 100%. Those will be your kind of shining beacons of light. You might not be lighting the beam in Sacramento a lot, but you'll have these two pieces that you can look at and kind of go, okay, I see some things here. Or, hey, I don't see some things here, and we kind of need to figure out what we need to do. On defense, we talked about Sabonis. We talked about what he is as far as how he anchors a defense. It's really not really anchoring a defense. It's just kind of being there. And I told you that you did not have the point of attack defenders to really hold off people. Now, you did pick up Dennis Schroeder. Dennis Schroeder is an irritant on defense. He might get into a couple fights throughout the year, but he's not necessarily somebody you can depend on for, let's say, 74 games a year and say, hey, that's our point of attack defender. Devin Carter might grow into that, and that might be something where Dennis Schroeder, as a vet, somebody who really understands his role in the league now and has really been a real nice glue guy the last couple stops that he's been at, that might be the thing that you look forward to, is how he works with Devin Carter. You know, how does DeMar DeRozan work with Neek Clifford to up his game and help his development? Those are the things that Sacramento fans have to look forward to. And you also don't have somebody who's going to shoot a volume of threes other than Zach LaVine. So how do you space the floor? And this is where Saraya comes into the chat. She says, clarity is spacing for the mind. Yes, it is. And think about it. You don't have a lot of defined roles. You have people who normally were the number one, who are going to be steadfast that they are the number one and know that you want to run your offense through Domantas Sabonis. Then you have Keegan Murray. So when he comes back, is he going to jump right back into the fray? Is he going to start taking a bunch of shots, or is he going to ease his way back in? Now, we know anything about Keegan Murray. We know that he is a very low-key type of dude, so it probably won't be that hard for him. Now, I look at this team and you think about what we're doing here. I think Keon Ellis is going to give good minutes, good defensive minutes. Monk is definitely going to provide some offense off the bench. Your backup bigs are Saric and Eubanks. That does not lend itself to a lot of confidence in that situation. You did draft somebody in the second round, Renault from Stanford, also French dude. He is 7'1", 7'2". He's more of a kind of in the mode of Domantas Sabonis, good passer, able to see the floor, good timing with the passes and things of that nature. I don't know necessarily is he going to be the actual deterrent at the rim that you need. And obviously his physicality, he's going to have to grow into his body a little bit, because what is he, like 20? So he's definitely doesn't have his grown man strength to speak of. So again, in the West, Sacramento, you are looking at a lottery situation. Hate to be the bearer of bad news, but we are just going to be 100% honest with you. And then the other thing to look forward to, as Saraya says, when Keegan Murray gets back, let him cook. Prep the kitchen now. Get everybody on board to make sure that we give Keegan Murray a bunch of opportunities to be able to thrive, and then see what you have in him. Let's be really honest about the Sacramento Kings. If you think for 1 second that Zach LaVine and DeMar DeRozan are going to bring you to some sort of promised land of postseason, did you see what they did in Chicago? Just saying. Now, let's move on to another team that is also going through a flux, going through a situation, a season of change, if you will. And that is Matt Ishbia's Phoenix Suns. I did say Matt Ishbia's Phoenix Suns. Now, the storyline here, to me personally, is Devin Booker and what we're going to call a happiness index. If you saw what Phoenix did in the offseason, cut the umbilical cord, Bradley Beal was bought out. He is now a Clipper, and we'll talk about him a little bit later. Kevin Durant was traded to the Houston Rockets. And you say, you rub your hands together and go, oh boy, how many picks did we get? How many young pieces did we get back? Well, you got Jalen Green and you got Dillon Brooks, and I'll talk about them a little bit later in this segment. But Devin Booker is the lone survivor. Now remember, 4 years ago, this team is competing for championships. They are in the NBA Finals. They got Cam Johnson, who is now in Denver. Booker will have to go up against him. And Mikal Bridges was there as well. And you also had DeAndre Ayton. And I know how much Phoenix Suns fans hate DeAndre Ayton, and we're going to talk about him a little bit later, because he's in a different place too. But this team was competing for championships. Yes, Chris Paul was ancient at the time. He's still ancient. He's still playing, which is crazy. But all of these dudes are gone. Every last dude is gone. Matt Ishbia came in and bought the team and like on some sort of coke bender or whatever he was on, he said, burn the ships. We're trading everybody. We want Kevin Durant. And at the time, I was like, that's a lot. That's a lot to give up for Kevin Durant, who was in his mid-30s at that point in time. Now, nobody's left. No picks to speak of. And Devin Booker is just there. Now, to his credit, he has said, I want to stay in Phoenix. I want to be like my idol, Kobe Bryant. I want to stay with one team forever. We will see how he feels when it's December 25th and the Phoenix Suns are irrelevant again. We will check back in on the happiness index of one Devin Booker. Now, again, I told you that this is Matt Ishbia's Phoenix Suns. Here's another guy who saw the writing on the wall, got a bit of reality, and started to understand that the second apron was real. He also understood that it was very punitive. And this dude starts selling assets like the dudes on Wall Street when they got some news that some real bad news was coming down the pipe. Like, we selling everything. Everything that's not nailed down, we are selling it. Let's go. And we selling it for pennies on the dollar. Keep in mind, you got nothing for Bradley Beal. You got nothing. You gave up a ton. All your second round picks that you had. By the way, this was also the team that traded their 2031 first round pick, which, if you think about it right now, with how the team is without their picks, because keep in mind, Houston still has a ton of their picks. They're probably going to need that 2031 pick, but they don't have it anymore. They gave it away for like 3 middling first round picks to kind of use to upgrade the team last year, and then ended up not doing it. Again, Matt Ishbia's Phoenix Suns. Now, we do have another coaching change in Phoenix. So Vogel comes in first. He's going to bring you some toughness and some defense that you need, whatever the case may be. Now, you don't have the pieces to run this defense, right? You don't have them. But he gets you to a postseason. He drags that team to a postseason. But the leaders on the team, i.e. Kevin Durant, i.e. Devin Booker at the time, i.e. Bradley Beal at the time, right? So then you get Budenholzer. Budenholzer comes in, and you're supposed to get a better offense, right? It's supposed to appeal to the Bradley Beals of the world, the Kevin Durants, the Devin Bookers of the world. You'll worry about the defense when you worry about the defense. It was also another disaster. Jordan Ott is now the new head coach of the Phoenix Suns. A lot of great ideas, what have you. We're going to throw some stuff on the wall, see what sticks. Very known for his creativity on the offensive end. Very known for his player development, which you're going to need. You're gonna need. Why also was under the stewardship of one Matt Ishbia. By the way, he's the one who's doing all the press conferences. It's not the player executive guy. It's not the head coach. It's not Devin Booker. Matt Ishbia has become the de facto Jerry Jones of the NBA. He's doing press conferences. He's giving you the state of the union of the Phoenix Suns. Because it's about him. It's been about him. This whole situation has been about him. Again, we're going to need to check that happiness index on Devin Booker. We're going to see how long can he stay loyal to the soil in the Valley of the Sun. Now, Phoenix, I am not here to tell you that we're trying to rip your superstar away from you. That is not my deal. But I just wonder, how exhausted will Devin Booker be after he has seen a championship team, not a road. They did a road. It was like a nuclear bomb went off and there were no survivors. Again, you had DeAndre Ayton. Say what you want about DeAndre Ayton. He was a 7-footer with a ton of skill, and due to the prodding of Chris Paul, Devin Booker, and others, you can call it somewhat bullying him. He was actually pretty productive also on the defensive end. He was basically a 17 and 11 guy, so 11 rebounds a game, nothing to sneeze at. And you gave him away for a bag of beans and Yusuf Nurkic, who basically couldn't move anymore. He was like a statue. He was like a gargoyle statue that you see like in New York City that sits on top of like old libraries. So he's gone. Cam Johnson, he left in the Kevin Durant trade. Mikal Bridges left in the Kevin Durant trade. And then all of your picks left in the Kevin Durant trade. Well, where's the good news, Vince? Glad you asked. Matt Ishbia has cleaned house. We got Jordan Ott as coach. Brian Gregory now in as the player personnel guy. How they did my guy James Jones, terrible. But he landed on his feet because now he works in the NBA offices, so good deal for him. I am very concerned about how they're going to build this team out. What you're hoping for is like people like Dillon Brooks, Grayson Allen continue to be productive members, and then maybe you can sell them off as pieces and kind of slowly do a slow burn build. Now you have a bunch of bigs now, because this is the interesting thing about Phoenix. You make a trade last year for Nick Richards, who was in Charlotte. Let's hold that thought. So then you make another trade and you get Mark Williams from Charlotte. You got two bigs, 2 7-footers, both from Charlotte. Charlotte's defense hasn't been great over like the last 3 years. Both of those guys have been there. Well, we'll get into their stories in a second. But you bring them over. In the draft, when you traded Kevin Durant, you got your 2025 pick back from Houston. By the way, Houston is holding all the other Phoenix Suns picks. They got the 2027. They got the 2029. Everybody hold on to that. So what do you do with your 2025 pick? You draft another big who's 18 years of age. I think now 19. Malawak from Duke. Now, I love Malawak. I think he could be really, really good. I think he can be a rim runner. I think he can be a deterrent at the rim. He is raw as all get out. It's very peculiar that you got Mark Williams. And if you are going, Mark Williams, where did I hear that last year? If you're kind of a casual basketball fan, you probably are not real familiar with the story of Mark Williams. You know, if you want to call it kind of like the saga of Mark Williams. Well, Mark Williams last year during the trade deadline was traded to the Los Angeles Lakers. Lakers sent over first round pick swap, and our flame-throwing outside young talent in Dalton Connect. Now, you can talk about Dalton Connect and what he's become now and whatever, but at that point in time, Dalton Connect was hitting threes left and right, all this other stuff, and he was traded to the Charlotte Hornets to get Mark Williams. Mark Williams comes to Los Angeles. We had just got Luka here. Mark Williams failed his physical. And from all reports, there was like multiple things wrong. People were like, have no idea how long this dude is going to last in the league. A lot of stuff got out. I know there was a ton of HIPAA violations. What have you. By the way, that's just the NBA. Stuff that should stay under wraps did not stay under wraps. People were saying it's the worst medical that they've seen in like 15, 20 years. The trade gets rescinded. Mark Williams goes back to Charlotte. Dalton Connect and the picks come back to LA. And guess what? Phoenix says, you know what sounds like a good idea? Let's get the dude who had the worst medicals that physicians have seen in like 15-20 years in the NBA. Let's get him. Oh, and then we're going to draft a center who's 7'2". Do you understand, Phoenix, what's going on right now? Do you see it? I see it. I don't understand it, but I do see it. What is this team going to look like? Okay, let's do this. So Jalen Green comes over from Houston. Dillon Brooks also comes over from Houston. Now, Dillon Brooks is a very good wing defender, and if his shot selection is monitored, if his shot selection is kind of, hey, these are the strict rules for you shooting the basketball, he is a very good player. The problem is with Dillon Brooks is that he fancies himself as something more than what he actually is. You are a occasional 3-and-D guy. You are a corner 3 shooting guy. He should be Dorian Finney-Smith, but my man kind of fancies himself as a Mikal Bridges. Okay? Oh, by the way, Mikal Bridges, who Phoenix used to have. Dillon Brooks will shoot you in games. Well, actually, no. I've never really seen Dillon Brooks shoot you in games. He will shoot you out of games. If given the green light, he will shoot you out of games. There was a point a couple years ago, this dude was in Memphis talking big trash to one LeBron James. LeBron destroyed him in the postseason. You know, he got sent off to Houston. Now, in Houston, Ime Udoka rules the land. So therefore, Dillon Brooks was not taking a bunch of threes, and if he did, he got pulled. Now Dillon Brooks is with a young coach in Jordan Ott. Now I hope and I am praying that Jordan Ott really follows the book that Ime Udoka set up for Dillon Brooks and yanks him as soon as he makes a ill-advised 3. I also hope that Devin Booker says, if you take a 3-point shot with 18 seconds left in the shot clock, I am going to put you in the trunk of my car. I am going to drive out into the middle of the desert, and I'm going to leave your ass there. So we hope these things happen. Just saying, Phoenix. Now, Jalen Green is a sometimes productive, sometimes not productive as a secondary scorer. He will be asked to be a secondary scorer here in Phoenix. That means he's going to get a shit ton of opportunities. Jalen Green is probably a number 3 at best on a really good team. He has never been put in that position to do that. And now he's going to be asked to help bring the offensive production with Devin Booker to a respectable level. Good luck with that. That means Jalen Green and Devin Booker are going to be the de facto point guards. You remember a couple years ago when Kevin Durant and Devin Booker and Bradley Beal hooked up, and they were talking about, towards the end of the year, they were like, you know what, we need a floor general. Who's a floor general for this team? We're back in the same situation that we were a couple years ago. Mark Williams, in 164 possible games that he could have played, he's played less than 30. Thank God you got Nick Richards and Maluak, who is a young stud, but has no business to really kind of touch a court unless in garbage time this year, because he is still very green and very raw. This is a level of new owner disease than we've ever seen before, where not only do you make the ill-advised trade, you make it at such a level that is so punitive to your team that there's no way out. Also, Iguodala, you gotta hope that what you saw from him was real. Now, he's not a real great offensive threat as far as that's concerned. But you're hoping that building blocks, right? We work on a couple things. We get a little better each and every year. And then we can build up his trade value mental. So stay patient, my friends. Stay patient. Because your triumvirate of centers of Mark Williams, Nick Richards, and Maluak from Duke, your veteran wing in Royce O'Neal, these are the guys that you're hoping to have banner seasons. And their track record has shown that not to be the case in the Los Angeles Clippers. Now, the Los Angeles Clippers have had a tremendous offseason. A lot of people really love their pickups. I love asking who's paying the age tax. You're saying, Vince, this is very negative of you. Now, here's the other thing that's going on with the Clippers. I don't know if you listened to a podcast here lately. The Clippers are in a bit of a conundrum right now with Kawhi Leonard. And it's not the usual conundrum where we don't know if he's going to play or not because of injury. It's, did Steve Ballmer and Kawhi Leonard somehow circumvent the salary cap? You say, well, Vince, what does this have to do with what goes on the court? I'll tell you in a second. He's done like a 5 to 6 podcast deal dealing only with Kawhi Leonard and the Clippers. And basically he has come up with, from this company called Aspiration, which was trying to basically cut the carbon footprint of companies and things of that nature. The company goes under. But also in the midst of this is that Steve Ballmer gave like $50 million to this company to kind of pay Kawhi Leonard underneath the table, so to speak. And you say, well, Vince, if you're not cheating, you're not trying, right? I understand that. I get that. Now, Lawrence Frank, who is the player personnel vice president of the Clippers, says, we'll cooperate. Speak of clouds of fines, suspensions, picks, maybe people getting let out of their contract. This is the specter that hangs over the Clippers right now. Not good, folks. Now, as far as the team is concerned, you still got Kawhi Leonard for now, who, when healthy, is an absolute killer. You know, he is a very efficient cyborg who plays basketball. You also have James Harden. The one thing you can say about James Harden is that in the half court, he can get you a good look. Now, he might pound the ball more than you want. He might go into some kind of foul merchant, foul hunting type of situation to be able to boost up his own stats. You can say all those things. But his relationship with Ivica Zubac is absolutely impeccable. Ivica Zubac had an incredible year last year, and you can thank James Harden for that. Kawhi is what, 32? James Harden is 36. Okay? So you're starting to see where we were getting at talking about the age tax, right? Bradley Beal is now on this team. So the Phoenix Suns, who need bodies, who need productivity, bought out Bradley Beal. And now Bradley Beal, who is 33, he hasn't played more than 62 games since like 2016, 2017. Bradley Beal coming off the bench. Brook Lopez being on this team. Yes, you got depth. Oh, by the way, Chris Paul is also on this team. There's a lot of olds on this team. A lot of wear on those tires. Their playoff experience level is going to be off the charts. I don't know if it's going to lead to W's in the sense of in the playoffs, but in the regular season, this team probably is going to be very good if it can stay healthy. So let's talk about this real quick. Chris Paul, 40 years old. Brook Lopez, 37 years old. It's done, 31. The young cats of this group is Ivica Zubac, who absolutely gets mauled every single game. He's 28. They also got John Collins from Utah. And they got Derrick Jones Jr. Derrick Jones Jr., 28. John Collins, 27. But you can see the amount of age on this team. It's going to be really awesome when it's all collected up. Brook Lopez, like I said, is 37 years old. James Harden, who, say what you want about him, he's definitely a savant on offense. He doesn't stay in the greatest of shape. So I wonder when there's a hamstring pull or a groin pull or a calf pull or whatever the case may be. Chris Paul had a pretty good season in Golden State last year, played a lot of games. And if you're going to put him in the game for anywhere between 16 to 18 minutes a game, you know, he's just not that same guy. But Chris Paul can get you into good offense. And if you're limiting his time to like 16 minutes a game, I think you are better off that way. Also, the same thing for Brook Lopez. If Brook Lopez is coming in the game and you're keeping Ivica Zubac minutes down to 32 a game, and you got 37-year-old Brook Lopez coming in for 16, those guys get extended out is when I start to worry. If there's an injury to a Kawhi Leonard, which Kawhi Leonard get hurt, well, practically every season since he's been a Clipper, and then he goes away for undisclosed amounts of time, and nobody knows really what's going on with the injury. Just saying, you know, and it's good depth. High-end talent needs to stay pretty pristine clean for them to kind of reach the levels that they want to reach. Now, is this the best Clipper team that they've had in quite some time? I'll 100% say yes. Do they have an avalanche of stuff about to come down the pike on them? Also, yes. Because the one thing that professional athletes answering questions about stuff that literally has nothing to do with them. You imagine what Chris Paul is going to be like after a loss in the Intuit Dome, and then with the impending sanctions that are going to befall your team due to the investigation by Adam Silver and the crew in the NBA offices about Kawhi Leonard. And what would you do if Kawhi Leonard, like, this is the situation that could be coming. Now, like I said, Clifford said they will go ahead and be accommodating as much as they possibly can. Now, the mountain of evidence has befallen them. I mean, Pablo Torre has put out, it seems egregious what has gone on there. I don't know if you can explain it all away. Personally, I don't. We will see if the Clippers can hold it together, stay healthy, get them to the playoffs, and then see what happens. That's a lot to navigate in a season, especially an 82-game season. And again, it falls on Ivica Zubac, it falls on Kawhi, it falls on James Harden for him to have the season that he had last year. But if Kawhi tunes out the noise, implode with all just the nastiness that's going on off the court. So the baseline view of this team is that with the talent and with the veteran savviness, they should win baseline 48 games. Injury, bug, or whatever the case may be, this team is going to be right around 500. they're going to win like 42, 41 games. Now, I don't know if that gets them into the play-in at all this year. I think you're going to have to win high 40s to get into the playoffs this year. So, we will see what the Clippers come up with. State Warriors. Butler coming over to the Warriors during the trade deadline last season set off a chain of events that couldn't be foreseen. They went on an incredible run. Jimmy Butler redefined what the Golden State Warriors could actually be. Jimmy did a lot of Jimmy. They were 24-8 when Jimmy came over. Champion Al Horford, who is of age. That's not to even talk about Steph Curry being 37 years of age, and then Draymond Green being the young pup at 35 years of age. But here we go, Golden State. Everybody loves your offseason. Now, the youth on this team is Brandon Pozinski, who's 22 or 23. Trace Jackson Davis, who's 24. And then Jonathan Kuminga, who's 23. I'll tell you one person who's not excited. Steve Kerr. Steve Kerr has not been a Jonathan Kuminga truther at all. Not last season, not the season before. They've had a bunch of critical comments back and forth in the media of all places. But he signed a 2-year deal worth $48.5 million. So $24.2 a year. He's coming off the bench, and he's going to provide instant offense off the bench. Kerr is going to have to go away from the beautiful game to unlock what is actually in Jonathan Kuminga. The problem is, does Kerr want to do this? Now, I'm not saying he's trying to sabotage the team. I'm just saying there's so many bad vibes and verbal barbs that have been thrown back and forth between these two that I just wonder. That's did not play coach's decision. Steve Kerr making those decisions. He's like, well, I just like the way the team's playing right now without him. Like, these are words that were said in post-game interviews. Now, Jonathan Kuminga has come back and said, I am not like my developmental process. You don't like your developmental path. Now, also, mind you, this was a team that won a championship a couple years ago, right? Hey, I should be playing 32 minutes a game. I should be able to make the mistakes I want to make or whatever so I can get better. And those are all valid points. Unfortunately, they had championship aspirations. And in those championship aspirations, you know what they couldn't have? Somebody who is 6'8", 220 pounds, that rebounded at the level that you did. They also couldn't have somebody just turning over the ball all the damn time. Was. By the way, Kuminga is a very good ISO player. That is around. The ball has energy. It finds the person, whatever the case may be. Usually that's Steph, right? Usually it's Steph. And, you know, they get free-flowing shots and things of that nature. Now, Jimmy Butler comes in, and he's kind of an ISO free throw merchant. And guess what? 24-8 when Jimmy Butler gets there. All the things they wouldn't let Jonathan Kuminga do, they let Jimmy Butler do. You know why? He is going to consistently give you effort on the defensive end. He's going to rebound for his position. Jimmy Butler does. That's why Jonathan Kuminga is going to be coming off the bench. Does it make sense to people now? Now, we talked about the age of the starting group of players, right? Curry, 37, Butler, 36, Draymond, 35. I don't know if they're going to start Al Horford, but he would be their length. So, could you imagine? You could have a starting lineup. Poor Brandon Pozinski. Replay reviews. Could you imagine? You got Butler, 36, Draymond at 35, Al Horford at 39, and Steph Curry at 37. These dudes are talking about going to Napa to visit their vineyards. They're talking about property. They're talking about 401ks, stock options, and Brandon Krasinski is talking about Call of Duty. There's a huge age gap between those dudes. It's going to be fun. Now, what Al Horford brings to the Golden State Warriors, he adds a pick and pop element that they have not had at a height that they have not had. Short roll reads, he can do that, which is the stuff that Steve Kerr loves to do because, again, the ball has energy. This dude at 38, 39 years of age was out here playing excellent defense last year for the Boston Celtics. He is where Brook Lopez, I worry about his movement skills and things of that nature because he's more of a drop big. Al Horford, time. He's just defied it. He's just like, yo, I'm going to be great at defense. I'm going to be additive on his frustrated players like Joel, Karl Anthony. But now he's going up against people, Nikola Jokic, Victor Wembanyama. Different category of cat. We'll see what our guy, Al Horford, Old Man River, what he can bring to the table. Now, Podziemski is the guy that everybody needs to watch because this is a guy, if Golden State wants to go to where they want to go, and his ability to shoot are going to be so important to how Golden State is able to survive this season. Now, Kuminga can come off the bench and be the good soldier with Moses Moody. We might have something to talk about in San Francisco. They can probably reach that upper echelon of contender in the West. But you're asking for that to happen. Damn sure don't bet against Jimmy Butler. But there's a lot of landmines that Steve Kerr has to kind of navigate throughout this season. And this season is long. And we just talked about the age of this group. But if any group can't hold it together, it's a group that is led by Steph Curry. Because here's the other thing that's a harsh reality for Jonathan Kuminga. And actually it would be a real reality check for the Golden State Warriors. If his attitude doesn't change, if he doesn't provide the things that Steve Kerr asked him to do, he's not going to play. We've already seen it. We saw it last year. What makes this season so much different? Because they paid him $24.2 million? Effort and energy. Pick and choose your spots wisely. Allow Jimmy Butler to set you up. Maybe also listen to Jimmy Butler and get into some of a mentoree role between those two. And you'll get the playing time that you want, which will help you get the bag that you want to get. Because remember, this dude was looking for like $30+ million before he finally signed with like 3 days left to go. Can I get a cup of coffee? Can I get a Starbucks run somehow, some way? Shouts out to all the little people doing the dirty work in San Francisco, waiting on Jonathan Kuminga to make up his mind to sign his contract. Oh, by the way, Seth Curry, brother of Steph Curry, is also on the Golden State Warriors. D'Anthony Melton is back. And I'm going to tell you right now, I know this dude has not been healthy the last couple years. When the Warriors were playing pretty clean, non-injury filled season, I really like what the Warriors could be. And also, he would mitigate any Jonathan Kuminga noise and nonsense that we might expect throughout the season. Now, the drawbacks to the Golden State Warriors, we talked about it. It's the age. It's the basically the chance of injury, and how do they navigate those? The team, bunch of tough SOBs. So can this team win 50 games? Yes, it can. Can it be in the upper echelon of the Western Conference contenders? Yes, they could. Will it take Jonathan Kuminga to buy in and for Podziemski to take another step in his development, can the Golden State Warriors avoid injury? But we're talking about Jokic. And we're talking about OKC, Alexander, who's 27 years of age. So he's just hitting his prime. Not to also talk about that Chet Holmgren missed half the season last year with a broken hip. So a full year of Chet, that's the reality that Golden State is going up against. This is a beast of a conference, and it's going to take a lot of things to go right, achieve their goal of like getting to the Western Conference Finals. Now we get to the Lakers, and I say the Lakers for last for two reasons. One, if you know me, I'm a Laker fan, but this is the team that I root for, and they got some questions to answer too. First, whether it is something that LeBron James got the most obvious old man injury that you can possibly get. Some people will call it divine intervention, divine load management. Now, sciatica is a debilitating injury because it just shuts down a whole side of your body. Just shuts it down. Now, they had described it as a glute injury before. Going to miss 6 to 8 regular season games right off the bat. Boom. He's missing 6 to 8. Now, you can sit there and say to yourself, hey, this is bad news, whatever. I look at this as good news, and I'll give you the reason why. I think for the first time, JJ Redick will be able to look at LeBron James and, unless something catastrophic happens, 32 minutes a game, 8 minutes a quarter is what you get. You are now 40 years of age, and you're going to be 41 in late December. This is the league. And we want you healthy when the games really matter. I don't want you going to social media telling people, I don't like this. I don't like my minutes being restricted, blah, blah, blah. We don't want any passive aggressive stuff. None of that. We want you to understand that this is at your best interest at heart. We are trying to preserve you for the playoffs, for the postseason. And also, we want you to be the sidekick. Yes. Man, it is a new day and age in Los Angeles, boy. Because Luka Dončić is here. And it's not just Luka Dončić anymore. We got to call him Skinny Luka. Okay? Skinny Luka has shown up. He's arrived thinner. It's the best conditioning since his rookie year. All I know is that Luka equals second side violence. Think about, he's going to be the primary ball handler on pretty much all the plays when he's in the game. That means Austin Reeves and LeBron James, if healthy, are going to eat. And talk about DeAndre Ayton. This is where he landed. In the same draft that Luka was drafted, 2017, is now the lob threat for Luka Dončić. Obviously, we got some things to talk about in as far as who's the point of attack defender. We'll get to that momentarily. This is JJ Redick's second year. We'll tell you right now, I liked him as a thing. Yeah, don't let all the rabbits out the bag, man. Keep things in your bag of tricks. Hold those things out until the playoffs. You showed everything in your hand. Everything. Now, I understand that you were trying to piece it together. You know, you had a lot of time when Anthony Davis wasn't on the court. Then he got traded. You had Luka. You were trying to gel the team together. I get it. But I hope that you can play a little bit closer to the vest with everything you're trying to implement this year. What are the Lakers going to look like without LeBron? Well, we saw a little bit of it last year because LeBron got hurt towards the end of the year. He had a knee injury and a foot. And you saw Austin Reeves and Luka Dončić just absolutely murder teams. Austin Reeves is really awesome when he's the second side initiator. Oh, I don't have everybody looking at me? Cool. This is great. Playing the pump fake, go to the basket, either get a shot, get fouled, or give an easy bucket to Jackson Hayes or whoever, Rui Hachimura or whoever. All fantastic. If Luka is in the best condition that he's ever been in since joining the league, does the defense get better? He's still not quick. He's still not like this loud 7'6'8". He's still gonna be like 240 pounds. Think about that. Like, he was overweight last year. People don't like to talk about it. Also, he had a calf injury that was just catastrophic. So he wasn't able to get the cardio that he needed to get. But now that he's skinny Luka, we at a position now where it's like, hey man, hey dog, can you play decent defense? Just decent. We're just asking you to be whatever the case may be and keep it going. Can you do that? Some of the developing people that they gotten over the summer. Marcus Smart is going to be absolutely important to the Lakers if he stays healthy. They're going to ask him to be the point of attack defender. DeAndre Ayton is a real center. No disrespect to Jackson Hayes, but Jackson Hayes is light in the buttocks. He's 60 pounds. I think Jackson Hayes was like 210 pounds. So he looked like a reed blowing in the wind. Now you got a real center. And here's the best part. When DeAndre Ayton even is not like connected, even when the mindset isn't great, this dude is 15-10. Now you got this dude on the team where, hey bro, right? You got a 1-year deal. That's all you're getting. If you're a max contract dude and this is the last year of your contract, you got a lot of incentive to play very hard. You got a lot of opportunities where you're sitting there like, man, if I play my cards right, I can get my money right back where it was or close. You're playing on the Lakers, you're going to get a lot of TV time. If you have a lot of standout games, Luka's going to be throwing you lobs. Get boards, be physical. Show that physical presence that you were in Phoenix. If you do that, you'll get paid. Also, if you do that, the Lakers are going to be good. If you are a dude that's not connected to the team, if you're a dude that pouts, if you're a dude that says, hey, it's snowing, I can't make it to the game. By the way, that was a real thing that happened in Portland. You called out sick. An NBA player called out sick. My car is not going to get down the driveway. Bro, you got way too much money to get some. Hey, throw some salt on your drive, man. You got people to do this, right? I'm sure there's a gardener or two. And get to the game. Now, he will not have that problem here in Los Angeles, right? We don't snow in Los Angeles usually. We have the occasional, you should be able to get to the game. We're going to need you to board. We're going to need you to block a couple shots. We're going to need you engaged. These are the type of things we're looking for out of you. And then you can get paid. It's real easy, man. Jeannie Buss is a pretty damn good owner. She is now secondary owner to Mark Walter, who got deep pockets. This is the owner of the Dodgers. If you remember that, understand this. Guggenheim Group make a lot of money field and off the court. Now, the big speculation here in Los Angeles is who's going to be the fifth starter. Now with LeBron out, this makes it easier. You can start Rui Hachimura and you can start Marcus Smart in the lineup. Now, they can go ahead and have a battle royal. Now, Rui is the incumbent. Rui has been here a couple years. Rui shoots some help on that end. but he is not a true 3. He cannot guard your sinewy or more laterally gifted. It's really unfair to ask LeBron in his 23rd year to go out and say, hey man, we kind of need you to guard like Kevin Durant, or we need you to guard Devin Booker, or we need you to guard Kawhi Leonard. That's very unfair to LeBron. The point of interest at this point in time is, do you do enough, Rui, on the rebound enough as far as the productivity of your offensive game? If not, we'll probably want Marcus Smart to start anyway. There's been a lot of moaning and complaining about, can we go out and get a wing that could defend the people that I just spoke of? The problem is that type of wing is very expensive to get. So if you want to use your first round draft pick that you have right now, and also Rui Hachimura, to go out and get the wing that you want. And by the way, it's not even going to be the wing that you want. It's going to be kind of like of the wing that you want. Because here in Los Angeles, we got champagne wishes and caviar dreams. Like, we want OG Anunoby. You know what I'm saying? This is what we want out here. You know, we want a guy of that caliber. What you're looking at in actuality is you're looking at one Andrew Wiggins. And that's where it's kind of going, do we want to give up a first round draft pick for that dude? Well, that's what it's going to take to get him, because Pat Riley ain't going to give him away for free. Can you piecemeal it together, see what else comes up? Is there somebody disgruntled, whatever, they think they probably should be in a better station in life or whatever, and see what you get from there. But that is the big situation here. And then Austin Reeves is in the last year of his deal. If this dude puts up the numbers that we think he is accustomed to and what he could provide this year, and he's not an absolute sieve on the defensive end of somebody who is a plus 20 point per game dude, shoots the ball, the 3 ball at a 40% clip, and also gets to the free throw line 6 to 8 times a game. That is the going rate. I don't make the rules. I just provide the answers to the rules. If you think Austin is not worth that kind of money, you better trade him now. You better trade him now, because he's getting the cash. From all reports, Austin loves it here. He loves the golf. If he's not, he's on the golf course doing his thing. From what I hear, he's also a money game, because you're going to end up broke. You're going to end up poor. Don't do it. But he wants to stay here. The Lakers want him to stay here. If he does what he's supposed to do, he will be here, and he will be handsomely rewarded with a nice extension. A nice one. But I want Laker fans and I want NBA fans to understand that Austin Reeves next year is going to be a $30+ million a year dude. Wrap your head around that. Just understand. And then LaRavia is here. Dalton Connect I don't know what has happened to him. It's like some kind of body double situation. He was shooting the ball really well early on last year, and then all of a sudden it just went away. Jake LaRavia is here to provide wing size. He is the Dorian Finney-Smith replacement. I'm saying that sort of facetiously, but actually kind of real. And then there's Jared Vanderbilt. Jared Vanderbilt is finally healthy. Jared Vanderbilt, he would be our best point of attack defender if he could provide anything offensively. Also, he doesn't have the best hands in the whole wide world either. That we need to break out at specific times if the offense is a wagon. Then you bring Jared Vanderbilt out for 5 to 7 minutes, kind of extend the lead, get him out, and then put the better offensive players back in the game. And then there's Bronny James. Get up out of here. But are we counting on him to do anything this year? No. Nope. He is not part of the 9-man rotation. Jackson Hayes is. Jake LaRavia is. Gabe Vincent is. Hell, even Jared Vanderbilt might be. But it's really going to be Marcus Smart. It's really going to be Jake LaRavia, Gabe Vincent, and Jackson Hayes. Bronny is the 11th dude on Maxi Kleber and what he ends up bringing to the team. Oh, this was a wasted pick. Oh, this is terrible. Oh, all this. I will continue to pound the table. We are giving a lot of energy to last year's 55th overall selection. Now, in a regular draft, there's only 60 selections. By the way, in the draft that LeBron James Jr. was in, and y'all tripping about he's holding a roster spot for somebody. Are y'all saying y'all got the same energy for Giannis Antetokounmpo? Because both his brothers are on the team. And you could say that they don't deserve spots either. Because they don't provide anything. So, I don't want to hear this year about how they wasted a draft pick. I don't want to hear about it's one of the greatest players. They end up being like top 5 in almost every damn statistical category that there is. Oh, by the way, he's never been in trouble. LeBron James has never been in trouble. What scandal has LeBron James been in? I'll wait. Right, none. So, his kid is on the team. He's getting better every day. He's going to play a lot of G League games. He's probably going to play about 30 to 40 NBA games. The Lakers are losing big. Unless everything has fallen apart. Everybody's injured. That's the only time LeBron James Jr. is going to be in a game at a critical moment. So, I want the noise to die down. Because LeBron James is coming into his 23rd year in the NBA. That is magical. And by the way, it's magical because last year he authored an 8 performance. That is not usual. If you're 40 years old and you're playing basketball, you're like Vince Carter. Not me. Not this Vince Carter, but the other Vince Carter. Where you're like 9th, 10th minute off the bench. You're getting like 5-6 points a game, whatever the case may be. All this other stuff. LeBron James is a starter. LeBron James is a all NBA candidate as soon as he hits the floor. He is still one of the top 20 best players. So that dude has provided a lot for the NBA, a lot of excitement and a lot of memories that nobody will ever forget. Is he better than Jordan? You know what? That's for everybody else to debate. I don't care. I just know that the longevity, all the points, all the great memories, all the great finals that he was in, that's all I know. If you want my opinion, I think Jordan is the best. He was 6-0 in the finals. He was an absolute killer. But if you want to talk about, then LeBron's the best. And if his son is on the team or his son is not on the team, it don't really make a hill of beans to me. It really doesn't. We should enjoy LeBron, Ramon James as long as we possibly can. Because we're damn sure closer to the end than we are to the beginning. And whatever he authors this year is going to be additive. And whatever the Lakers do this year with LeBron James on the team is going to be something that we are all going to want to talk about. So thank you for the content, LeBron. I appreciate you. I hope that being said, so I have to get ready to do too. So the best part of you is you. Surround yourself with people who give you light, insight, joy, and accountability. Appreciate them out loud. That's your real wealth. And if you're still finding your tribe, know this. You got one here with us at FRPC. Until next time, keep your mind sharp, your heart open, and your circle tight. I'm Vince for Soraya. We out.